Imagine giving three people the exact same financial opportunity, the same market information, the same resources, and the exact same starting capital. A year later, the results diverge. One person has lost everything, one barely survives, and the third has quietly built a fortune. Standard measures of intelligence, luck, and talent often fail to explain why these outcomes vary so drastically when the starting conditions are identical. This gap in performance points toward a quieter variable, the psychological capacity to remain calm when everyone else panics. Modern work culture celebrates constant, frantic action. We are conditioned to believe that moving fast and making rapid-fire moves is the only path to success. However, high arousal emotions like fear and excitement cloud our judgment. When these feelings drive a decision, the brain's ability to process risk and reward becomes unreliable. Sustained success often relies on the mastery of self-regulation and the discipline to remain inactive. Takashi Kotegawa, a trader known as BNF, accumulated a massive fortune in Japanese yen, starting from a relatively modest account. His reputation as a day trader suggests he succeeded by constantly predicting and reacting to every micro-fluctuation in the market. On the contrary, his methodology involved enduring prolonged periods of silence. He often spent his days watching the market and doing nothing at all. He recognized that every unnecessary action introduces new risk to a portfolio. By waiting, he avoided the emotional pressure to do something that forces most traders into errors. Kotegawa's edge was his discipline in knowing exactly when to stay out of the market. This strategy is mirrored by Warren Buffett, who has spent decades applying the same psychological restraint to long-term investing. Buffett argues that investing requires a specific temperament rather than a high IQ. He succeeds by remaining rational while the rest of the market reacts to temporary volatility. His partner, Charlie Munger, focused on the internal mechanisms of this restraint. He believed our primary obstacle is the human mind's tendency toward cognitive bias. Munger actively combated traits like overconfidence and social proof by forcing himself to question his initial reactions. This habit prevented biological impulses from overriding his logic. Their combined success demonstrates that resisting the biological impulse to react is often more difficult and more lucrative than finding the opportunity itself. Modern neuroscience clarifies why this restraint is so difficult to maintain. High-stress situations create a physical conflict between the brain's emotional and logical centers. Under intense pressure, the emotional systems can completely shut down the regions responsible for reasoning. We become biologically incapable of making a sound decision. A deliberate pause acts as a physical intervention. It gives the surge of emotion time to recede and allows the logic centers the necessary time to reboot. This reveals the true nature of emotional control. It is the active process of blocking feelings from dictating physical actions. These biological mechanics affect every area of life, far beyond the world of high finance. We see it in impulse purchases, angry messages sent during a moment of frustration, and a sudden urge to quit when progress feels slow. These examples illustrate how easily a temporary emotional state can dictate a permanent, life-altering decision. Great decision-makers share a habit of creating space between a feeling and an action. Whether that pause lasts seconds or months, it provides the only window where logic can effectively challenge impulse. This discipline fosters deep intentionality, allowing values rather than moods to guide behavior. Ultimately, your future is shaped by the decisions you make despite the intense emotions you feel today. The strongest mind isn't the loudest, it's the calmest.